Pro-regime fighters are pushing further into the rebel-controlled east. And right now, rebel forces are regrouping after being forced to retreat from the oil town of Ras Lanuf, a key territory in the battle for the country and control of it. The rebels were pounded by sustained gunfire from both the sea and the air last night and pushed back some 12.5 miles by Gadhafi's regime. NBC's Yonatan Pomerantz joins me live on the phone from Tripoli with the latest. And Yonatan, the east was one of the strong areas for the rebels, at least in recent weeks.
That's right, Richard. The name of a number of cities that we heard in the east that the rebels had taken, Ben Jawad and Sidr and now Ras Lanuf, those were, as the rebels were moving west, we're now hearing those same towns and cities, but it's as the pro-Gadhafi forces are moving back east and taking them. We've heard now that the pro-Gadhafi forces, the front line, they've essentially pushed it even further east from Ras Lanuf, and now their next target is going to be Brega, another very important oil port, which is on the North African coast. And like you said, it comes down to firepower. Right now, the rebels are being outgunned. Clearly, they have almost no planes or warships like the pro-Gadhafi forces. And not only in the east, but there has also been two key cities in the west, with sort of within Gadhafi-controlled territory, which we were hearing a lot about last week, Misrata and Zawiya. Zawiya has already fallen back into Gadhafi hands. We were taken there yesterday, 2 weeks ago. A center of Zawiya, which we saw full of anti-Gadhafi protesters, was now covered in green, the green flag of Libya, and full of pro-Gadhafi supporters. And we're hearing reports today that Misrata, the other city in the east, was also come under pro-Gadhafi fire, that they're attacking the city, and we wait to see if that's also going to fall back into pro-Gadhafi forces. So right now the rebels are trying to regroup, but they're simply being outgunned. Richard?
Yonatan, you really hit an important point that's been debated within recent days, and that's the issue of air power. Gadhafi's forces, when we talk about Air Force, 10, 20,000 in the numbers, this really leaves the rebels at a disadvantage. What has been the debate there on a no-fly zone, and how important it is to those rebel forces?
Absolutely, and there's been a debate going both ways, how much of a difference it'll make, considering the fact that pro-Gadhafi forces also have so much more land power in terms of the troops. But the no-fly zone could still make a difference with the air power. And today, the Arab League passed a resolution saying they would call on the UN Security Council to pass a no-fly zone. This could help some in the West who are trying to push a no-fly zone forward, but they don't want it to be seen as a West versus the Arab world type of scenario. Right. So with the Arab League on board, that could give some people who want to get a no-fly zone passed, it could give a little bit more momentum. But with Russia and China already saying that they're against it, the chance of this passing, at least in the near future, seems to be pretty slim, which doesn't look good for the rebels. Richard?
Yeah, the importance of a coalition pushing for a no-fly zone, as that continues to be debated, so important for the rebels, at least from their perspective. NBC's Yonatan Pomerantz watching the very latest as pro-Gadhafi forces push into what was a stronghold of the rebels.